Hello, students. I hope you are all fine and in good health. I already started explaining this particular chapter, the third chapter from Vistas, Journey to the End of the Earth, and it is written by Tishani Doshi, and it's about her journey to the end of the Earth, that is to Antarctica, where 90% of the ice is stored up. Okay, and now I will be continuing with my discussion. In my previous audio presentation, dear students, I had discussed up to at the bottom of the world regarding the location of Antarctica, what might happen in the near future. Now let me move on to the next paragraph, and as I told you all, dear students, that I might only explain the important passages or the important lines, and I might skip some I might, while I will be explaining, I might skip some lines. So having said that, dear students, let me start. So I hope you will all listen to this audio also, just like you have listened the previous one. So it goes like this. For a sun worshipping South Indian like myself, 2 weeks in a place where 90% of the Earth's total ice volumes are stored. Now this is something a trivia. 90% of the Earth's total ice volumes are stored is itself a very chilling prospect. 90% of the Earth's total ice volumes are stored in Antarctica, which is indeed a trivia. Along with that, it's really a chilling prospect. It is like walking into a giant ping pong ball devoid of any human markers. Devoid means absence of any human markers. No billboards are there, no trees are there, no buildings are there. You lose all earthly sense of perceptive and time here. That means it is very hard to keep a time, okay, to keep a calculation on time, and also it is very difficult to actually visualize everything from the perceptive point of view. It's become very difficult. The visual scale ranges from the microscopic to the mighty, midgets and mites to blue whales and icebergs as big as countries. The largest one is reportedly that of the size of Belgium. And as I already referred in my previous audio presentation, that days goes and on in surreal 24-hour austral summer light. That means, as I told you, that the author Tishani Doshi, she spent 2 weeks almost where day and night they merge in an austral summer light. And the only sounds, dear students, that was been heard during that time was the sounds that of an avalanche or calving ice sheets. That was itself a very transcending experience for the author herself. And the icebergs, that is very interesting, that's another trivia, dear students, that the largest one was that of the size of Belgium, the largest one that is recorded. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the next uh, point, human impact. As I told you, I might skip some lines. Now, here you will get to know about the origin of the human civilization. Human civilizations have been around for a paltry 12,000 years, barely a few seconds on the geological clock. Now, that means our existence is not so prehistoric, uh, depending on the geological clock. It is already almost 12,000 years. Now, from the geological clock's point of view, it was hardly a few seconds. Barely means hardly. It's an adverb, as you all know. The rapid increase of human population is there. Okay, but the important thing is that before that I like to say that we human beings, we managed to create a lot of development. We have more or less dominated over nature, etching our domination or dominating influence over nature. with our villages, towns, cities, mega cities. These things are all developed by the humans. That means, despite only a few seconds on the geological clock, and for a paltry 12,000 years only on the face of the globe, we human beings, we achieved a lot. The rapid increase of human populations has left us battling with other species for limited resources, because ultimately population is increasing and resources, natural resources, are getting scanty or fewer. So it's a battle for the human beings along with the other species in order to get hold, or in order to utilize the limited natural resources. And not only that, even the sad part is that it had created a blanket of carbon dioxide that itself is very much toxic around the world, which is slowly but surely increasing the average global temperature. And that is also a major cause of global warming, because the blanket of carbon dioxide, the toxic carbon dioxide, spreading all over the world very slowly and surely, it is increasing the average global temperature, which is also a cause related with global warming. Now, climate change. Nowadays, it is the very popular issue, or rather to say, it's a very debatable topic. Now, because climatic change, when we talk about climatic change, obviously environmental issues comes to the forefront. Will the West Antarctic ice sheet melt entirely? These are the questions that usually come up in a discussion or in a debate that is based on climatic change. Or will the Gulf Stream ocean current be disrupted? Will it be the end of the world as we know it? That means this type of future related questions that might threaten the human existence and might threaten and the existence of other species also on the face of the globe. What can happen if the West Antarctic ice sheet melt entirely? What will happen if the Gulf Stream ocean current be disrupted? Will it be the end of the world as we know it? So all these are future related questions. Now, maybe not, we are not so much sure about it. Antarctica, in this case, can play a very important role, because ultimately, in order to know the answer of all the questions been stated here by Tishani Doshi, Antarctica is ultimately, we can say, it's a very crucial element in this particular debate. That is the debate that is related with climatic changes, the debate that is related with environmental issues, and all this. So let me continue. Antarctica is a crucial element in this debate, not just because it's the only place in the world which has never sustained a human population and therefore remains relatively pristine in this respect. Now that's the advantage, because never ever human population had settled in Antarctica. Obviously, research work was being done, but that extended up to 2 3 weeks, not more than that. And even if there is an excursion or expedition, that also for a fortnight, or maybe we can say for 2 weeks. But human population thrived in Antarctica, that never happened previously, and because its climatic changes are much more rapid than in comparison with the other continents or other places, and human population never thrived in Antarctica in that respect. So let me continue. Human population never ever thrived in Antarctica, or rather to say in other words, Antarctica never ever had sustained a human population. And another important thing, that is something very very important, that if we want to study and examine about the planet Earth's past, present, and future, then obviously Antarctica is the right place for that, because half million year old carbon records is trapped in its layers of ice. Now that is another trivia. half million-year-old carbon is trapped in its layers of ice. Now, that is the reason if we want to know what will be the future of our planet Earth, and what will be the past, what will be the present, and what will be the future, then obviously Antarctica is the place to go. So having said that, dear students, I guess up to this it is very much clear to all of you. I'm moving on to the next paragraph. Students on Ice, that was the name of that prestigious acclaimed program, and Tishani Doshi, she was a part of this particular program. I was working with on the Sokalski aims to do exactly this by taking high school students to the ends of the world and providing them with inspiring educational opportunities which will help them foster a new understanding and respect for our planet. Obviously, students are the future policy makers, and even the Canadian educationalist Mr. Green, Mr. Geoff Green, as you all know, dear students, he was also of this particular opinion that the students, being the future policy makers, they are the best one. Literally speaking, they are the best one uh, to travel in that particular program, that is Students on Ice, because ultimately from a very beginning, from a very young age, they will develop love and respect for planet Earth. So I repeat this line. uh, I was working on with the Sokalski aims to do exactly this by taking high school students to the end of the world and providing them with inspiring educational opportunities which will help them foster a new understanding and respect for our planet. Obviously, this will be a lifetime achievement, a milestone of an achievement for them, and they will actually construct a better understanding of the planet Earth, and obviously they will strive forth in the near future to actually pay respect to the planet Earth, and they will try to protect it at any cost. Because why? Because the Canadian educationalist by the name of Mr. Geoff Green, he is of the opinion that the students, they are the future, or rather to say in other words, the students are actually the future policy makers. So it is the right, very right decision to take them along with that particular vessel, that is academic Sokalski, and the program's name has also been given in a quite meaningful way, Students on Ice. It's been in operation for 6 years now. We get to know about this particular program, and we will get to know about the one who is funding, and who is the actual person behind this, Mr. Geoff Green, headed by Canadian Geoff Green, who got tired of carting celebrities and retired rich curiosity seekers who could only give back in a limited way. Now, Geoff Green realized that it is better to take students than to take celebrities or retired rich curiosity seekers, because ultimately the output from their perspective is not so meaty, it's not so much standard, or it is not so important. But obviously the output that the students will be offering, that will be a life changing experience for everyone, because ultimately it's a life changing experience for the students also. See, it is written, dear students, with Students on Ice, he offers the future generation of policymakers. Obviously, here, the future generation of policymakers refers to none other than the students. See here written, he offers the future generation of policymakers a life changing experience at an age when they are ready to absorb, learn, and most importantly, act. Now, that is the right time. This is the right time, because the students, they are always ready to absorb, learn, and most importantly, to act. according to the circumstances. So the Students on Ice, it's a very innovative program, and it's the right choice made by Geoff Green, because he was totally exhausted taking celebrities and curiosity seekers, okay, who are actually retired and rich, because ultimately the students are the, as I already repeated earlier, future policy makers, and this lifetime of an experience, this milestone of an achievement will actually have a bigger impact on their life. They will learn many things, but most importantly they will absorb many things, and they will act as far as the circumstances, or they will act as far as the situation will demand. Now, I'm moving on to the next paragraph. The reason the program has been so successful is because it's impossible to go anywhere near the South Pole and not be affected by it. The program was hugely successful, and it's practically impossible to go anywhere near the South Pole and not affected by it. It's easy to be blase about polar ice caps melting while sitting in the comfort zone of our respective latitude and longitude, but when you can visibly see glaciers retreating, now these are not good signs when the glaciers are retreating and the ice shelves were collapsing, because these things are indication of global warming. Okay, these things are actually related with the dangerous threat that is associated with the global warming. Now, how it is for how it is visible, because Tishani and the others, while they went on trekking, or rather to say while they went on moving around, they have seen the glaciers retreating, and obviously the ice shelves were collapsing. Now, at that moment only, you began to realize that the threat of global warming is very real. Okay, the threat, the dangers of global warming is very real. Two factors. One is, number one, the glaciers are retreating, and number two, the ice shelves are collapsing. Now, these two are the major factors that make Tishani and the others realize. Most importantly, it made her realize that the threat of global warming, that we listen day in and day out in the news channels, we read in the newspapers, in the magazines, we discuss also. Now, the threat of global warming ultimately is something that is not a fake news, it is something real, because when she saw along with the others the glaciers are retreating, okay, the ice shelves were collapsing, they began I mean she began to realize along with the others that the threat of global warming that we encounter in our life, in whatever forms it is, whether we get to know it from the electronic media, from the print media, whatever it is, or from our conversation. Now, the global warming is something very, very real. Now, it was proven. Obviously, when they see the glaciers retreating and the ice shelves collapsing, it was proven that the threat related with global warming is something very real. It's not a fake one, it's something very real, so we should be very serious about it. That is the reason, at the very intro part, in the segment that is written before you read, it is written that travel to Antarctica will actually answer three questions. The first and foremost related with the past of the planet Earth, then obviously the present, and also it will answer precisely what can happen, what might be the drastic consequence related with the planet Earth if it is not so serious right now. If the people are not so serious, then ultimately what might happen? So the future is disastrous, the future is horrible. That can also we can get to locate, and that can also we can feel like from Antarctica. Okay, that is the reason Antarctica will provide us answers related with the planet's past, present, and also related with the planet's future. So, dear students, I stop here in this audio presentation. I hope you will all listen to it, and I really hope you will all like it. If there is any doubt anywhere, kindly let me know. I will clarify the doubts to the best of my ability. Till then, please listen to this audio lecture. And again, I'm saying to all of you, read your textbook also very carefully, because this is the textual explanation that I am doing with you all. In the previous audio also presentation, I did some part of the important parts related with the textual explanation. In this audio presentation also, I discussed at length a bit related with the textual explanation only, or the textual part, NCERT text related with Journey to the End of the Earth. Okay then, thank you students, thank you all.